Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's time to completely and accurately cover the lore in the most respectful way possible. They just released episode 1, which is, I guess, chapter 1 from the official story, and then I believe, not too long after they did the side story. I think they said that's the order it's going in anyway, so I'm already behind, but, well, I got several channels to run, so, hey, link to the new channel down in the description. So, hey, let's just jump right into this. So, chapter 1 is called In the Heart of the Skyclave. I bet they're gonna go to the Skyclave and then get to the heart of it. So it opens with Nahiri studied the rising Skyclave before her where it floated vast, imposing, and ruined. She remembered when it was beautiful. How old is Nahiri? I mean, I think in the intro it was centuries plural for like how long ago it was when the Skyclaves got the crap beat out of them. So she's standing on one of the highest points on Mount Akum and looking up there and she's thinking to herself, yeah, they're hiding crap up there. Crap I can sell. She disqualified from my D&D party. I have been the fighter, the cleric twice. I've been the rogue, the wizard. It doesn't matter. I'm after that loot, okay? No matter what alignment or class, I am dat booty chaser yo, and I ain't talking about a backside. It's more like move out the way, ho. I gotta get the gold. Where the gold at? And Nahiri's feeling that same feeling. She's like, I just started that Seagate Expedition Club thing and shit's expensive. We got to pay for that building. I got to pay off my student loans. Let's loot a bitch. Oh, wait, it says the Eldrazi broke this particular Skyclave, and she was there for that. I don't know crap about the lore, and I'm the worst with timelines, so... Nahiri smiled. With those secrets held in the Skyclave, she was going to change the world. I remember you, she told the Skyclave floating in front of her, and all of your power. And I'm gonna loot it and sell it. So legit, she's like, I want to get up there. And she starts doing some stone crafting crap that'll somehow get her there. I don't know, stone ladder, stone staircase. I have no idea. It doesn't make sense to me. But she was so focused upward that she didn't see the royal begin. The royal is basically an earthquake mixed with a Category 5 hurricane on crack cocaine. And she didn't hear it. Okay, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but Nahiri's deaf. So a bunch of lava came up, cracked the place she was standing, and she fell. No, she hissed, must be a Leafy fan, as she plunged. No, she was the master of lithomancy, the guardian of this plane, and she would not be undone by a simple earthquake. Little did she know it was an advanced earthquake. I mean, seriously, it has lava. That's at least bumping it up a level. So she used her little rock magic to do something with the lava and turned it into something and got out. So no joke, she got way up on this pillar thing and then looked down and told the ground, I win. This bitch crazy. I mean, she like that like Vietnam War vet where like she fought the Eldrazi and then when the war was over, she came back and she's a little not right in the head. So the royal was a symptom of a deep sickness in Zendikar, a sickness that Nahiri had inadvertently helped spread. Zendikar is officially come down with the sickness. I can't play the clipper, they'll claim it. So she used her stone spidey sense to sense that there's another planeswalker nearby, but for some reason she didn't acknowledge it. Finally, the stranger approaching the pillar speaks. It's President Trump! No, just kidding, it's Nissa. So Nissa was all like, you can't tame the royal, I grew up with it. And she's like, well, you don't know me then. You just almost fell in the lava. So Nissa's like, oh, well, I saw you at the battle with Bolas, and you did pretty good with like stone stuff, so... Yeah, and she's like, you were there? Dude, she ruined, like, the whole set. Yeah, how did you not notice? So Nissa's like, hey, why'd you call me here? And how? Because they don't have interplanar cell phones. Seriously, how did she send a message to her? I'm actually very curious. Is there, like, a FedEx for, like, but they only hire planeswalkers? Anyway, Nahiri was like, when I was young, there was none of this royal crap going on. I still don't think that that's correct lore-wise, but sure. Also don't know how old she is, but anyway... And she's like, yeah, the Eldrazi done screwed everything up. And this is like, yeah. I can feel Zendikar's hurt. It haunts me. She stared at something far in the distance, but her face was full of grief. I told you, she going emo. She going full-blown, hot topic-ass goth Nissa, and she gonna use black mana. We already know it. We've seen the card. But anyway, Nahiri's like, I have a solution. Something that will heal Zendikar. I hope it's kill all the elves. I think that would help a lot. I'm sick of them in my stupid game, breaking everything on turn 3 and ruining any kind of competitive play for everyone in every format. So I think the Royal would stop if they killed all the elves, and they should at least try it. So then Nahiri is like, our answer is up there, which, I mean, if you didn't see that coming, I mean, So Nahiri started making a staircase, and Nissa ran up behind her, but then the royal started up again because duh, and then it started cracking under their feet because duh. Nahiri fell off because she was running like an idiot, to paraphrase what they actually wrote. But then Nissa caught her with a vine. Yay, dramatic. So they finally get there with a little bit of help from Nissa and some vines that made a ladder, basically. But they say, even broken and neglected and hidden for centuries, it's floating in the air in multiple pieces. You can't hide in the air. You cannot hide in the sky. That you look up and there it is. That's the people already said this. They're like, oh, look at the remnants of the Sky Havens or Skyclaves or whatever the hell. Yep, there they go again, blowing past. Like we can see them. They're not hidden in any way. So they're all like, oh, this place still looks pretty cool, even though it's smashed to crap. So apparently this place is huge. They're estimating that tens of thousands of people lived on it, and they're estimating it would take years to explore it. So finally Nissa gets the nerve to ask, okay, how are we going to find anything in here? And Nahiri answers, we start looking. So Nissa asks her what they're looking for, and she replies, I'll know it when I see it. So Nissa clarifies, but you don't know now, though. And Nahiri tried to answer, but the royal got loud as crap. So Nahiri, listened to the stones and looked at some of their mosaic artwork and was like, oh, it's going to be in the heart. Which I'm sure is just meant to be it's a double meaning. It's the heart of the fortress and some cheesy sounding after school special line too. So she's like, that dark archway right there, we gotta go that way. So really she just did know where to go, I guess. So they're walking and they walk through different sections and they're like, man, this place was pretty good before it got totally wrecked. And then Nissa's all like, I suck at protecting this plane. And then they come to a collapsed doorway, and Nissa's like, wow, we can't go any further. And then Nahiri's like, claps her hands, and the door's open, because rocks. Nissa's pretty dumb for being 5,000 years old. So Nahiri kept running ahead like a maniac, despite Nissa telling her that they should probably actually be cautious, and then she gets attacked by a Felidar, and punches it in the face with stone, and then summons 7 glowing hot red swords. I think my cleric has that spell in D&D. So Nissa vined it to the floor, and then Nahiri stabbed it in all of its most vulnerable locations with all 7 swords simultaneously. Guess she's more of a dog person. So Nahiri was convinced before, and now she takes this as even further evidence that they'll know they're going the right way if something tries to stop them. So she thinks the cat was somehow guarding something, even though that makes no sense and they're not very intelligent. So, I've been reading every last detail of this, and I can't figure out who's who. I'm going to say... Nissa's obviously a druid, but that's not on the list. So I'll say control wizard, maybe? But then Nahiri, obviously basically using magic, but I guess all planeswalkers can. So, I'd say artificer, but once again, not on the list. So warrior, I guess? Maybe rogue, because she likes blades and she can jump around and she's pretty quick. I don't know. I can't figure it out. But they've got 2 out of the 4 no matter what. I don't think that they're doubling up. They're pretty different. So Nissa's watching Nahiri just crouch down on the floor of this big open cavern area that they came to, because there's a bunch of different ways to go instead of a straight line. And she just listens to the floor for a minute, a full minute, and then gets up and says the stones aren't saying which way to go. And Nissa's just like, why not? So Nahiri legit, I'm not even making this up, she shrugs and says, we're close now, might as well choose a path at random. So then Nissa's like, well, let me give it a try. And she tries to, listen to the vines and flowers and some hipster crap like that. And then she just ends up summoning a giant elemental. And Nahiri's like, what's that? And she actually says, a friend. Well, you made a friend. Cool. Which way the loot at? I'm going to read this verbatim so you don't think I'm exaggerating this. She grasped the elemental's 6-fingered hand, saw its love for her in its eyes, and for the first time in a long time, Nissa felt like she belonged. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit reading that. That would be considered cheesy and going a little far even for a Twilight novel. So Nissa's like, hey, we need to find the Skyclave's heart. Can you help us? And the elemental blinked slowly, then with a groan, raised itself up to its full towering height and began leading Nissa by the hand. How would a being just created right now be like, yeah, I know this place like the back of my hand? I don't know. She made it out of a vine on the ground, so maybe that's a thing. I don't know. I love how they use the classic a strategy of, quote, hanging a lantern on it, where they had Nissa say, openly, how could something like this grow here after they mentioned there is, 0 sunlight? See, if you mention it, then we're both in agreement. You and the character are like, why could this possibly happen? Okay, we can eliminate the option for rogue, and not just because Nahiri keeps getting surprised by everything and walking into every single trap. Um, they walk into this area that has a geopede, which is like a giant millipede, just suspended in the air, and it's like just floating there. And Nissa says, "Any idea what will spring this trap?" And Nahiri just says, "No. Send the fern thing in first." But they're in love for some reason. You know what? I'm going to call him Steve. Yeah, send Steve in. He's expendable. Bye, Steve. So Nissa's like, these aren't just tools to be summoned, used, and die on command. No, Nissa wasn't going to send it to its death knowingly. She turned to the elemental and asked it, can you disarm it? Oh, we found out who the rogue is. And she's like pointing at the trap, and then he's like, oh yeah, totes. So she makes like a net out of vines to catch it if it drops, and he's like, okay, cool. So Captain Lots of Smartso, though, walks in, pokes it, and then, oh look, it fell. He rolled a 1 on his skill check to disarm that trap. So Nissa immediately was like, oh crap, closed up the net of stuff and then slammed it into the ground and killed it instantly. Damn, I mean, between the two of them, only one seems to be a stone cold bitch, and I'm surprised it ain't Nahiri. So Nahiri wasn't sure it was dead, even though it was, so she smashed it with a giant stone fist. And Nissa's like, what the actual hell? Even Steve the Elemental jumped back like, what? And she just smiled and said, this is Zendikar. Everything born on this plane is hard to kill. Oh, so it's basically Australia. That actually makes sense. Now I kind of want to go watch that one video that has about the same number of views as my entire channel of the dude where like the kangaroo's holding on to his dog and then he punches him in the face and the kangaroo's just like, did you just punch me, mate? If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's better than this damn video. So then it's just like fade to black. Oh, look, they're at the heart of the Skyclave. I guess Steve did know where it was. The heart of the Skyclave was aglow. Ancient runes covered every surface, every inch of the stone walls, floors, and ceiling. Okay, if they start screwing with this, if this is still floating, which I'm under the impression it is, it ain't gonna stay floating for long. This thing is clearly a power source, just saying. But apparently it's pretty big because they saw a dais in the middle, and inside of it was a small tile glowing like a star. So Nahiri just walks up to it and says, a key. And this is like, a key for what? And she's like, to unlock the true power we seek. No, it's going to unlock this thing crashing out of the sky with you on it. So Nissa's like, I thought you said that this was something we needed to find to heal Zendikar here, not just to unlock true power. And Nahiri's like, well, the ancient core texts are not always clear, but the object we seek is both powerful and dangerous. It's an orb. It roughly translates to Lithoform core, and it's the last one in existence. Seriously, I even checked Amazon and eBay. They were all sold out. So this is all like, are you sure? And Nahiri's like, that's what the runes around us say. I hope one of them licks it. It's the only way to know for sure. Oh, so Nissa's all like, you can read ancient core runes, and then she says, I am an ancient core. Well, okay, I don't remember how long it's been since the mending occurred, but like Liliana's still alive. Oh, but that's a contract thing. Let me think, when did that happen? Because remember, before the mending, planeswalkers didn't age. After the mending, they do. And I know that Teferi got pretty old, I think they said. He had very noticeably aged. But I think it hasn't been that long. And I remember Nahiri fought with vampire dude like a long time ago. So yeah, she must be really old. So after checking for traps, no joke, I think we just figured out who the rogue was. Nahiri just grabs it and nothing happens really. She's like, oh yeah, here it is. Well, now that we have the key, Nissa said, I suppose we need to find the lock. Yes, Nahiri said, head tilted in thought. Runes say Marasa, in a Skyclave there. And Nissa's like, oh, that sounds like a whole thing. Please tell me your plane has fast travel on the world map. So the Royal was still rumbling away, threatening to shake the whole place apart. You gotta wonder how it lasted this long then if one little roily storm thing can trash the whole place, but okay. So Nahiri said a bunch of crap in ancient core, and then glowing happened, and I don't know, flash, and something about runes, I don't know, whatever, and then the Royal stopped, yay. Then they heard grinding noises around them, and felt the Skyclave knit itself back together, though not completely. The runes hadn't contained that much power. Also, the way I understand it, she just stole the battery, so, you know, just throwing that out there. But still, this ancient and broken fortress was mending itself. Happiness bloomed in Nahiri, and she clutched the key to her chest. She had found it. She had found a way to heal Zendikar. Then behind her, she heard the fern thing, his name is Steve, damn it, scream. Well, something one-shotted Steve, he's dead. So it turns out, I guess, like, Nahiri did it or something? I don't know. It says Nissa reached out with her power with her hands trying to stop the elemental from dying, but it was of no use. She was left with just fistfuls of ash. What did you do? Nissa yelled at Nahiri. What? Nahiri asked, turning around. Nissa saw that she was holding the key to her chest and smiling, like she just won a battle. It stopped the royal, she said. You murdered the elemental. Your plant, she replied. But Nissa thought to herself, that was my family, a piece of Zendikar, because the elementals were Zendikar, and if quelling the royal with that core meant their death, then Zendikar was in mortal danger. Nissa stared at the ashes in her hands, felt anger and grief well up inside her, over this mistake, over all her mistakes. What would Gideon do? By the way, this is like the 8th time she asked herself that. I just didn't feel like reading it. Gideon would leave the main quest to go do some bullshit little side quest for a cat god that involves an arena battle for no reason. Okay, that's what Gideon would do, so maybe let's move on from that. So they kind of argue, and Nissa tries to reach out to any of the plant life in the whole Skyclave, and just instantly it was all wiped out. And here he's all like, Zendikar used to be cool. We had like cities and stuff. And then Nissa's like, yeah, but Zendikar right now is like still beautiful and there's elementals and stuff. So they start fighting, slamming branches and crap and stones into each other and just about kill each other. And Nahiri tells her, I can't just stand by and let this plane tear itself apart. I am the guardian of Zendikar, even though I'm pretty sure... Oh, no, this is the voice of Zendikar. I assume one's legislative and one's maybe judicial, maybe executive. I don't know. Was there an election? Is one like an honorary title, kind of like England and the whole royal family? So then Nissa said to her, so am I, and then asked once again for like the 50th time, what would Gideon do? He would get help, so Nissa planes walked away. So down in the comments section, are you on team screw nature, I like buildings, or are you on team, tree hugger, ooh, I like nature now, even though it's destroying everything, and like killing people and stuff? It's basically Team Royal or Team Anti-Royal at this point, and Nahiri's like anti-royal, like calm it all down, let's get the key and turn the royal engine off. I don't know what they're doing. And this is like, elementals are my friends. You can't just like kill invasive weed species that took over this place. Like you can and should, obviously, but stones versus nature. So despite whining about Ravnica and how much she didn't want to go back and remember the battle, Nissa planes walked directly to Ravnica. All right. I mean, exposure therapy is a thing. So, okay, I didn't read any of the Ravnica book or books or whatever the hell, but she said she didn't want to be seen. She remembered how Vitu-Ghazi fell, and the guard to Jace's inner sanctum when she walked in just gave her a very disapproving look. And then she said she supposed she deserved the anger from Ravnica's citizens. What the hell did she do? Join Team Bolus? Like, what? Let's try attacking him with natural cures and like some naturally derived essential oils. And maybe this lavender will like calm him down. That must have been what she tried and then got like 1,000 people killed. Or maybe she's like, let's awaken Vitu-Ghazi, and then he gets just pimp slapped by Bolus, and they're like, shit. Maybe Chandra was right. Maybe she was a walking disaster. Nissa didn't want to think about Chandra, especially now that she needed Jace's and others' help. Oh, that relationship ain't getting no better. So Jace is up on a ladder reading a book from his bookshelf on the top rung. He's like, be with you in a moment, and she waits because, gotta be polite. Then he's like, oh, it's Nissa! What's good? So Nissa was caught by surprise. She thought he'd be furious with her, like the rest of Ravnica. Seriously, somebody tell me what the hell she did down in the comments. I have to know. So he's like, what's going on with you? And she's like, Zendikar's in trouble. And Jace goes, the Eldrazi? Which is, I mean, let's be honest, where we all went. But she's like, no, it's Nahiri this time. And he's like, oh, shit, why can't it just be the Eldrazi? So Jace is like, Nahiri, the other guardian of Zendikar? And she's like, yeah. She's trying to heal the plane. And he's like, yeah, you mentioned that she asked to see you, that you could get together and heal the plane. But I don't understand. That's what you want, right? And she's like, yeah, but there's this ancient orb. And he immediately was like, Elven or Core? And she's like, Core, but... And it's like, hold up. Let me Google that real quick. And she's like, Jace, listen, please. Jace paused and looked surprised, but he sat back down and nodded. Nissa felt a small flush of pride at this victory. What, being a bitch? Jace never listened to her. Maybe channeling Gideon was working after all, because, after all, what would Gideon do? WWGD. Run off to be a gladiator for the cat god. We've already been through this. That's what he did do. So she's all like, She killed my elemental Steve. And he's like, I don't really understand elementals, but okay. So then she says, well, I need Nahiri to destroy the Lithoform core when she finds it. I legit thought that's what they just found, but I guess that's what's in Marasa. Okay, whatever. Oh, because it's a key and it lets you get into the core. I don't know. I think they've already contradicted themselves. I'm getting really sick of this author writing Nissa as though she's like 17 too. She's like 5,000. She should be more mature and have her shit together mentally a little bit more than this. She keeps like being too scared to speak and second guessing herself and like... Just get over yourself. So then she says, I don't know how to convince her to blow up the key. Or the lithoform, whatever. I miss Gideon. He'd know how to reason with an ancient, angry stonecrafter. So she's all, what should I do, Jace? I can't fight her by myself. And Jace is like, we should bring the lithoform core here. And she's like, no. Last thing we need on this plane is more damage, and you haven't seen what this thing does. Yeah, would you like to share that information with the rest of the class? I'm curious what it is, Nissa. And Jace is like, but I want to study it. And she's like, and who will be your test subjects? But he's all like, we can tweak it. We can hack it. The power can become malleable. And she's like, it's not that simple and it's too dangerous. So basically she's like, you're not instantly within the last couple seconds doing and saying exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to get emotional, have an outburst, and then planes walk away like a pouty 16-year-old. Wow, what a moody bitch for somebody who's like 5,000 years old. Seriously, they are absolutely screwing up her character badly. So then it says Jace stood in his now empty sanctum and planned. He should have listened better. Okay, first of all, no man has ever said or thought that in his entire life. And secondly, no, she was being an unreasonable bitch. She legit like screamed at him, I am not going to lose both of my families. His approach was logical. It made sense. They should take it there, study it, and find a way to change how its power affects Zendikar, and then they can use it to do whatever they want, or fix Zendikar without killing the elementals. He was completely on the right track. He actually had already gotten out a scroll that he thought contained some magic that would work. But no, think of the elementals. You have to do it exactly precisely my way. She's worse than my niece, and my niece is like 7. Now this is interesting. The ending is, I guess, news to me. I just didn't realize that. Well, I'll just read it. He should have convinced Nissa to stay, to rejoin the Gatewatch. Oh, she left? Boy, she must have really screwed up during that battle. Guilt gnawed at him for the secrets he was keeping about Nicol Bolas. He was the only one who knew the truth, that the ancient terrible dragon was still alive. So, like, we all knew that he's trapped in the meditation realm, but I didn't know that only Jace knew that. Was he even the one that sent him there? I didn't think he was. That's really weird. So every day that Jace kept the secret was a lie of omission to his friends. But he could make it up to them. He would. He considered what Nissa said about the core and wondered if it was somehow connected to the royal. Well, obviously, it stopped the royal, so... Yeah, if it was, what could Nahiri do with such power? What could the Gatewatch do? A great deal of damage. These guys can't do shit right. Anyway, a great deal, Jace realized. So he planned, knowing that he'd soon be on Zendikar, and he started packing all of his cool jungle stuff from when he lived on that island that one time. And that's the end of the first chapter. So this actually is really interesting. I am super amped that they have this back on the web for free. And hopefully they keep it that way. By the way, this is written by A.T. Greenblatt, whoever that is. It says she wrote 24 science fiction and fantasy short stories, so all right. And as always, like I have said in the past, you definitely want to, if you really want to get into lore, check out this whole chapter for yourself. Read through it. It's a pretty quick read. And do not try to learn anything useful from my version, because I changed some of the facts. I hate to admit it. You might have caught on to that, though. Also, I omit stuff just for length reasons. So definitely check out the original, which this is not a market replacement for. Yes, I'm literally saying that phrase for legal reasons, but this is clearly fair use. It's parody/review. So Wizards, if you try and take this down, I'll try and take all your money. And I will. I won't just try to, I will do that. And so will my lawyer. So anyway, thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you guys next video.